Part 2 of homes. So let's think about how our homes are laid out, the places we go back to, how they're planned, and how that influences our behaviours. Clearly, it influences us when we're in them. Does it influence us when we're outside of them? London is full of Victorian homes, and if you walk from here, from Chelsea College to the Tube, you'll walk through lots of streets of Victorian houses. Here's a quotation from a book called Ideal Homes, and it talks about Victorian homes and Victorian architecture. And the ideal Victorian home is therefore more accurately defined as a kind of battleground, a place of constant struggle to maintain privacy, security, and respectability in a dangerous world. Are those things relevant to you and your home? Privacy, security, respectability? Is it a dangerous world? So houses are a complex arrangement of spaces, a place for family rituals, a display cabinet of social virtues, a way to tell the world what you want them to know about you. Is that still true? Home is a place where the space and time are controlled and structured functionally, economically, aesthetically, and morally, and where domestic communitarian practices are realised. Communitarianism is an idea of philosophy that emphasises the connection between the individual and the community, and that community might be a family unit. So these are the kinds of houses you see across London. At the front of these houses, grander rooms, the place where you show the world what you want it to see. At the back of these houses, spaces for the people who live there but service these families, and right at the top, tiny bedrooms for maids. So these pieces of architecture facilitate certain hierarchies, certain relationships. They're about power structures. Sachs says that people and the places where they reside, where they live, are engaged in a continuing set of exchanges. They have determinate mutual effects upon each other because they are part of a single interactive system. So the architecture, the house, the family, the ritual, all rolls into one system. Families come in all shapes and sizes. This is Pleasant Hill, a religious community built this Shaker village in Kentucky in America. You'll see in the top left image that there are two front doors. Men live on one side, women live on the other. These families weren't nuclear families. They didn't get married and have children. They invited people to come and join their families. And on the right you'll see this beautiful double staircase. One side for men, one side for women. But it's a family unit, and the architecture reflects the kind of family unit it is. We can think about isolation. We can think about living with other people. We can think about living with people, communal living, and we can think about looking in. Religious communities quite often isolate themselves geographically, architecturally, from other places. So the monastery of St. Catherine in the Sinai in Egypt is very hard to get to, very isolated, and looks like a fortress. They are looking in, they are self-sufficient. And likewise, the French abbey on the right-hand side is the same thing, the same religious community giving itself a space which is self-sufficient. This monastery in Thailand, which is a relatively new piece of architecture, you can see it's kind of circular. It facilitates the walking meditation that these monks do. This is their daily ritual, and so the kind of architecture they've had built enables them to practice what they need to on a daily basis. So the unit, the family unit as such, and the architecture, part of the same system. It's quite interesting to think about aesthetics, to think about perhaps a minimalist aesthetic. The top right-hand image is actually of a solitary confinement cell in a prison in Norway. The bottom image is a luxury B&B in Mexico. They do have some things in common, the sparseness, so clearly context is important. We can think about being alone, living alone, choosing to be alone, the difference between alone and lonely, our difference in behaviours when we're on our own and when with our families or friends. We can think about structures found, adapted, built, which facilitate living solo. This is interesting. This is a dementia village built for people in Denmark. The residents that come and live here have their old homes replicated because change is difficult for them to adjust to. So it looks like the places they used to live, but they can't leave. So is this protection, imprisonment, security, familiarity? Can it be all of those things?